Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and you are listening to another Monday message. Every single Monday, I bring a message of the day to you guys. So here's today's message. People often start to go after a goal and they get really excited. They work really hard for about 3 weeks. And then for some reason at the 3-week mark, they always start to fall off a little bit, fall off track. And then by week 5 and 6, they feel like they're starting all over again. Why does this happen? And what is the moment where people start to go from this upward trajectory of going towards their goals to this downward trajectory, this U-turn, so to speak, to where they feel like they're back where they started? And here's the thing, most people lack the awareness of where this happens in their life, in their patterns, in their habits. And because they lack the awareness of where it's happening, they can't ever identify it. They can't ever make changes to it. And they keep going through these cycles in life. Well, I'm here to help you break the cycle today. The moment that it's happening is when you have been on your diet, you've been on your training, you've been on your cardio for weeks, every single day, you're executing with excellence. And then randomly on a Thursday, you decide to justify why you're going to skip a cardio session. You decide to justify why you're going to have a little extra food than what was normally allotted for that meal. You start to explain and give reasons why it's okay that you just take an extra rest day because you've been working really hard, right? It's where these justifications come in. It's where these excuses come in, and they don't feel like excuses. In the moment, they feel like completely justified, right? Like everyone would give you a free pass because you have so much on your plate and you've been doing so good. You haven't missed a single thing so far. That is the moment where you go from this upward trajectory to this U-turn, to this downward trajectory. So you have to recognize when this is happening. And in that moment, you have to wage war against the thoughts inside of your head that are trying to keep you below average, not even average. These thoughts are trying to make you go below average. So ask yourself, what is the most excellent version of me? What would that version of me do in this moment? Right? So you've been on your diet, you've been on your training, you've been really dedicated, really consistent, really focused. And there's always just this one decision. Guys, it's the smallest decision. And people think that because it's a small decision, it doesn't matter. They think that because it's just one cardio session, it's not a big deal. Because it's just one meal, it's not a big deal. But what you don't realize is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So in a moment when you allow yourself to slip up, in a moment where you allow yourself to justify why you don't have to do it, when all the other times you've stayed dedicated, you have now set a new pattern and a new habit. So in this moment, it seems like not a big deal, but guess what? 2 days later, you're going to do the same thing. And 4 days later, you're going to repeat that. And now you've created a habit. And this habit, in this pattern, is now taking you a direct route back to where you came from. And now you don't know how you've gone through this cycle again. You're like, how do I keep getting on track and off track? And you can't identify why you keep going through this cycle. And I'm telling you, it's that moment. So what you have to do is demand excellence from yourself. Nobody else can demand excellence from yourself. You have to be the one to demand excellence from yourself. And I'm telling you what, if you demand that from yourself, which is not easy. It is incredibly hard in the moment to do, guys. It's moments that are behind the closed doors that nobody else would see, where you have to demand it from yourself. And I use the word demand very intentionally because you don't just roll out of bed at 5 a.m. You don't just, hit your perfect meals without trying. You don't just get up and stay dedicated to what you said you were going to do without trying. It takes severe intention, intelligent execution, and sincere effort. That is the way that you choose to be excellent. So next time you get up and you want to press snooze and just skip your morning training session because you'll do it later, or next time you want to add some extra food to your meal that has already been pre-allocated to hit your goals and your targets, next time that you want to skip your training session or just finish at 3 sets instead of 4 sets, or finish at 10 reps instead of 12 reps, you need to heighten your awareness, heighten your self-awareness to say, this is the moment that decides whether or not I set new habits and patterns that actually create the existence, the life, the goals that I have for myself. Guys, you are in so much control, so much more control than you think you are. Like, yes, there are things outside of our control, and that's not what I'm speaking out about, but you are in so much more control than you actually think you are. But it's these small moments that people think are insignificant. They think it's not a big deal. that now sets an entire new path. If you're headed down this road and you're going straight down this road, those little moments people don't realize they're actually sharp left turns, sharp right turns. And you think you're still on the same path. You think you're still headed towards where it is that you want to go, when in reality, you've just completely changed directions without even realizing it. So listen, next time you come to this moment, I want you to think inside of your head, demand excellence. I must demand excellence from myself. And guess what happens when you choose to demand excellence from yourself? What happens is after said thing, after you've hit the meal that you've programmed, after you've gotten in that cardio session, you've gotten all the reps, you have gotten that training session in and given it your best effort, what you do is you build a new level of confidence and strength. So similar to earlier, when you make the wrong decision and you take a complete left turn, a complete right turn, this one, it sets you on the same path, but you've just elevated. You've just elevated yourself to a new level. So as important and detrimental it is when you take that left turn, when you decide to justify and give excuses, it's just as equally important and actually impactful in a good way when you do the opposite, when you demand excellence and you demand follow through from yourself. Because when you demand that follow through from yourself, you have just told yourself and created this new habit and pattern that when things get tough, when I want to quit, when I have excuses, when things would be justified, I demand excellence for myself anyways. I follow through anyways. I keep my word to myself anyways. And when you do that, guys, you start building this inner strength, this inner confidence that flows from you. And guess what you also do? You create a new pattern so that the second time, the next time you're met with this opportunity where you could choose failure, literally choose failure. You could choose to, hold yourself back from everything that it is that you want. You've already had the tangible experience of pushing through that. You've already had the tangible experience of overcoming this really difficult moment where everything in you wanted to quit, where everything in you wanted to justify, where everything in you wanted to do less than your best. Do not allow yourself to operate less than your best. Demand that you operate in excellence. The truth is, your goals, the life that you have for yourself, the vision that you have for yourself, it lies in your most excellent self today. It exists in your most excellent self today. If you were not practicing excellence today, you were not going to get what you want tomorrow. You were not going to get what you want 6 months down the road, a year down the road. So demand excellence from yourself. It's actually the most loving thing that you could do. The most loving thing that you could do in self-love is not pressing snooze, is not skipping on your commitments to yourself. The most loving thing you could do is the hard option, is mustering up the courage, mustering up the strength, or just relying on pure dedication alone. That, you know what, I said I was going to do this, and I love myself enough to keep my word and keep my promise to myself. That is the truest form of self-love. So to break the cycle, guys, you have to recognize that first moment when you want to justify and give excuses, and instead you have to choose excellence. That's today's message. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Evolve with Emily. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and share it with a friend. Text it to them, tag the Evolve with Emily podcast page on Instagram, and I will see you guys in another episode shortly. Bye.